Hello, today I would like to make a brief analysis about why Pope Leo XIV, as Cardinal Robert Prevost, was at the top of the list of candidates for the papacy. Why it did not surprise me that Cardinal Robert Prevost was elected as our new Pope Leo XIV on May 8, 2025. When Italian blessed Pope John Paul I passed away, my mother was traveling in Rome and she was able to visit St. Peter's Basilica to give tribute to his remains. That caused an impact on us when she returned home telling us about those events. Polish Pope St. John Paul II's phrase, "Do not be afraid," has accompanied me throughout my life. German Pope Benedict XVI had worked closely to St. John Paul II, and in a way, his election, I may say, was not a surprise. On the contrary, Argentinian Pope Francis' election certainly was, even to himself. Divine providence allowed many things to happen in a timely manner, so the Pope Francis autobiography, the first of its kind written by a Pope, was already out shortly before he passed away. I had wanted to have a copy of it in Spanish and took advantage of the pilgrimage of a friend to Europe to ask her to get it for me. So she purchased it in Spain. She then had the chance to be at St. Peter's Basilica for the Eucharistic celebration of April the 30th. It was the fifth day of the Novendiales. I later produced a print screen image of a video she shared with me while the cardinals walked in procession and identified Cardinal Robert Prevost, who has become Pope Leo XIV. I was following every single Eucharist of the Novendiale, and the one of May the 2nd particularly caught my attention. On the one hand, because the cardinal in charge of the day was Claudio Bucherotti, who is the prefect for the Oriental churches. I say this because I'm interested in the unification of the church. You may find his homily at the Vatican website, where on the 7th paragraph he makes a reference to St. Augustine. In the minute 35 of the video, before saying that, he had addressed directly Cardinal Prevost, excusing himself, saying he would cite St. Augustine. No other cardinal was addressed by his name in such a manner in any of the masses during the Novendiale, and that triggered an interest in me. I wanted to know who the candidates were, what their names were, because for these elections, I wanted to be able to recognize the name of the new pope when it would be mentioned from the Lauda. So I went to the Vatican webpage and looked for the dashboard Collegio Cardinalicio. Here is a sample of it. And I read all the names of the cardinals and analyzed the data that was provided about them, in addition to the dates of birth, nationality, and religious order, when it was applicable. It caught my attention to distinguish three different ranks among them: diaconi, presbytery, vescovi. Under the rank of bishop cardinal, only three elective names had this tag: Parolin, 70, Prevost, 69, and Tagle, 67. In a way, Europe, America, and Asia were represented through them. One Italian with long Vatican work experience, another one with a double citizenship that unites the American continent, a missionary, a polyglot, a former head of his religious order, the Order of St. Augustine, with a key position as prefect of the dicastery for bishops and president of the Pontifical Commission for Latin America from the period 2023 till 2025, an ideal candidate. It also caught my attention how Pope Francis had ordered cardinals that would give representativity to a broader geographical area of the globe. Also, in addition to being Cardinal Deacon of Santa Monica from 2023 to 2025, Cardinal Prevost became Cardinal Bishop of Albano in 2025, skipping the rank of Cardinali Presbyteri, which comes as a reassurance of Pope Francis's support. Once he became Pope, he gave this position to Cardinal Tagle, around whose name the media had made noise as a possible successor of Peter. Then in the evening in Rome of May the 8th, 2025, we heard the awaited announcement. Annuncio Bobis Gaudium Magnum, Habemus Papa, eminentissimum ac reverendissimum Dominum Robertum Franciscum Sancte Romane Ecclesia Cardinalem Prevost, quis sibi nomen imposuit Leonem XIV. I have recorded these thoughts to remain as a testimony of faith. In the days previous to the election of Pope Leo XIV, in my daily rosary prayer group, we had made our own novena addressed to Our Lady of Good Counsel, believing that addressing Our Lady under this advocation, she would graciously receive our prayers. When we learned about Pope Leo's devotion to her, it all wrapped up nicely when we saw him paying her a visit on May the 10th. About my personal expectations, I may say that on April the 25th, I had even followed a procession to Our Lady who leads, or Digitria, an vocation that for the Orthodox might be an equivalent to Our Lady of Good Counsel, because Our Lady who leads provides with her help. When Patriarch Bartholomew visited Pope Leo in the early days of his election, he brought with him an icon on this advocation of Our Lady that had been made for Pope Leo expressively in Agion Oros. I rejoice with those news as well as with the perspective of their meeting to commemorate the 1700th anniversary of the Synod of Nicaea. Due to my involvement with the promotion of the prayer of the Rosary, I had read all of the writings of Pope Leo XIII about this prayer. It is my hope that in addition to Rerum Novarum, Pope Leo XIV will take strength from the hope that the prayer of the Rosary brings. Let's not forget that on his election day, the sanctuary of Our Lady of the Rosary of Pompeii had its feast day, and also the apparition of Saint Michael the Archangel in Mount Gargano. Pope Leo XIII had composed the prayer we all know to address him. It was also the feast of Our Lady of Luján, patron saint of Argentina, and even on the side of the Augustinian order, it was also the feast of Blessed Catherine of St. Augustine. It seems appropriate to remember that Annum Sacrum, the other encyclica of Pope Leo XIII on the Sacred Heart, is in relation to the encyclica that Pope Francis wrote, Dilexit Nos, on the human and divine love of the heart of Jesus. We see a continuity here as well. And it was Pope Leo XIII who introduced the salutation, Lady of the Good Counsel, in the litanies. The cover of Vatican News in Facebook quotes Pope Leo's words, brothers and sisters, this is the hour of love, which I complement saying, with the rosary at hand and united to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, peace is possible. I invite you to visit Sancti Saints and that we continue praying for Pope Leo XIV. Thank you very much. My name is Margarita Constandopoulou.